like that.
It works. Thank you, sir.
It works? Okay, wonderful. Awesome. All right. Saleha, I'm going to ask you, since Saleha, do you think I should begin, or should we wait as more and more people trickle in?
I think we should wait a little bit so that some other students can join us.
Oh, okay, sounds good. So in the meantime, while we wait, what I can do is I can share with you some resources. So students who are here, you guys can still benefit during this time. So you guys can see my Google Sheets right now. Yes. If you guys can, yeah, okay. Awesome. Okay, great. So we will send this to you after the presentation. As soon as you fill out the evaluation form at the end, you will get this. And what is this? Well, these are some of the resources to track your applications, to find rankings and research on universities. You'll also get some of the presentations that you'll hear today. You'll find some resources for exam prep. And if you need mentorship, you can reach out to these two organizations, which I will tell you about more in detail when everyone is here. But what's wonderful about this is, let's say that you were interested in a particular subject, then what you can do is you can search for it. So let's say that I was interested in history, so I could keep that checked and uncheck everything else. And when I press OK, it will give me the subjects that I clicked on. And then you can say, well, look, I don't want to read today. Today I want to watch something. So you can also kind of tell the computer what type of resource you're interested. So if you only wanted to watch things, then you have all of these things that you can watch, and then the links for those are here, unless they're movies, which then you'll have to find on your own. But otherwise, we've tried to link you guys with really fun and exciting ways to learn about the world. Saleha, when you give me the green light, I'll begin. Moin, you two, let me know when you guys think we should begin the official presentation. Those of you who came on time, thank you so much. We're really glad to have you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, and all the presenters and the students, and Arif sir for all the hard work, and Shireen, let me also mention her name. She's been working really hard. I will leave it up to the presenter whenever they are comfortable with it, as we are going to record this, and those who are late or not able to attend, we will post this on Facebook somewhere and share the link with you. So I would say if the presenters are okay to present it right now, then it's a green light from me.
Okay, wonderful.
Arif, yes, Wayne is right. I think we should start, and then we can post this recorded one on Facebook and on other platforms as well, so they can look from there.
Wonderful. Okay, well, let me first introduce you guys to who will be speaking to you today, as well as the organization that is supporting us in bringing this program to you. Here we go. So here, what you can see is the people who founded this organization called Sidhpur Foundation are Kareem Uncle and his wife, Mevashandi. Both of these guys are professors in the United States at Michigan State University. And they've, over 17 years, helped the community here in the US and India, and even Pakistan, to attain higher education. And hopefully we'll be able to work with organizations like Moin's to be able to bring some of the structure and success we've had as an organization. Today, who you are going to hear from, and I'm very excited to introduce these guys to you, is SPN. SPN stands for Student Professional Network. These are not just these 5 people in front of you, but they are many mentors who are there for you in case you are looking for some direction. You can go to their website, you can sign up, and someone will be in touch with you so that they can talk to you about, giving you some guidance on whatever it is you need on your educational journey and pathway. So today, who you will be hearing from is Mohsen, who is a software engineer at Google. And you'll also be hearing from Saiful, a mechanical engineer at Tesla. And you will also have a chance to hear from the 2 ladies you see here, Saleha, who many of you might know. And so Saleha will be able to tell you guys a little bit more about herself when she speaks. But the important thing is that, yeah, that they're here. And then Rifa she studied in Boston as well as in Canada. And Saleh has traveled quite the world and learned a lot about financial aid. So we're very excited about having her. If you're interested in some live courses with teachers from Boston and where they teach at MIT and Harvard and all of these places, but they teach singing and songwriting and comedy, more of the humanities, we will provide a link at the end. And you can also use the QR code right here, right now, if you want to register for those classes. They are live and they're going to start in November. And they're $75, but Sidhpur Foundation and some of our partners are offering this to you for free. There's only about 6 to 12 seats in each class. If you apply early, your chances of getting into one of these courses are a lot higher. So I strongly recommend you to use this QR code and register for these classes. So before we begin our presentation, on our right, you see Ashna Maradia. Ashna Maradia is the lead board of directors and an educator herself. And so she is the woman behind the curtains, making things happen. So really appreciate her help as well. All right, awesome. So let's begin our presentation. So here what you see from the Aga Khan, who has established many schools around the world and many academies, including higher education and universities, he advises that there are 3 A's of modern learning, and I've underlined that in blue. A spirit of anticipation, a spirit of adaptation, and a spirit of adventure. So today, what our goal is to give you an overview that anticipates what getting into an international school looks like, how you can adapt to the changing needs particularly in Canada, and how can you enjoy the process where it isn't just about getting into a school or just about leaving a current situation. It is a journey of education that is fulfilling and also successful in however way you define it. So here we go. Does anyone right now have any questions before we begin? This is going to be mostly an overview because we have to cover so many topics. We'll go as efficiently through it as possible, but we will have an exam session and a financial aid session that will be a lot more in detail with Saleha and Rifa. And you'll use that same QR code to sign up for that. Okay, awesome. Let's see here. We're gonna start our first poll. And our first question for you guys is, how do you decide which undergraduate major to select? So Ashna, if you could run that poll for us. All right, guys, go ahead and answer this. We'll give you about 10 more seconds. Awesome. Okay, great. So here, what we see is, I think, what we idealize versus the pressures of practicality. And I think we all know that sometimes we have to balance what we want to do and what we should do. And sometimes they don't quite align. And so we're going to talk about how do we make them align and how can we still, have our cake and eat it too. So we've got a question. Yeah, please. So Ashna, if you could share the results, that would be wonderful. And while Ashna shares the results, I will go over how do we find what we want to study. So here it says, what if interests are directly related to how interested you are in the world? So many of you might feel that you know what you're interested in and all of that. Can I, let's run a quick, oh, I can't run the poll here, but if you are, let me put this link in the chat box. I'm having some trouble finding the chat box here. There it is. So if everyone could go to this link here, I'll give you about 5 seconds. It's going to be in the chat box. And we'll go to it together. And you should be seeing a website like this. And here, what we're simulating is that this is the entire sort of galaxy of knowledge out there. And you, as a young person, have to decide what will be your study in this, what community will you join, what sort of language within a field of experts will you want to speak about. And so let's say that you chose this topic, which is, let's see, this topic is sanitary sewer. And let's say you were really interested in waste management and the technology behind making sure a society works and sewage and all of that. If you only look in one direction, then you may only be able to solve the problems of society by looking at, say, technology here in traditional ones. But you can also, if you keep an open mind, find that how many of you have heard of anaerobic digestion sequences as a part of waste management? It's a sustainable new way of doing things. And so this is an opportunity for us to find out what else is there that we have not considered. What else is there that we have not considered? All right. So how do we then consider what we have not considered? You, of course, have to explore. You've got to get out and swim. And so now let's use our second question, Ashna. Let's ask the students why. Yes, thank you so much. Why do American students decide on their major at the average age of 21? So the British system, we'll skip to that real quick. Here we go. When do students decide their field of study? So in Britain it's 16, it's American, it's 21. What's going on? So what we'll find here is this piece of data. I want you guys to look at this. I'll give you about 20 seconds, and then I want you to answer that question almost again. What is the reason why someone in America would decide so much later? Okay, awesome. So now we can share these results. And the main reason is because it gives you a chance to experiment with other fields. You can learn about other subjects. That way, if you decide at 16 that you like medicine, at 18 you can say, oh my God, I hate medicine. I want to do something else. So let's talk about that. When we look at our panel today with Saiful, Rifa, Saleha, Ashna, Mahin, and of course, Moin, and even other educators here today. Can any of the panelists describe their educational journey and how it surprisingly changed because of anything that you ended up exploring by accident even, and then you realized that, hey, this is what I really enjoy? Saleha, can you speak to that?
Okay, thank you. So I started studying pre-medical when I was in first year and second year in Akhan Higher Secondary School, Hunza. And then after that, I thought I should go for mass communication. But after getting admission to mass communication, I thought like, no, it's not really exciting field. Let's go towards English because I loved English and I love literature and like linguistics. So after studying English, after doing my bachelor's in English, um, I accidentally ended up working in the United Nations that I'm currently working in, and then now I am thinking like to go for international development studies. So that's how my whole perspective towards life and then towards career goals changed, because I was so passionate to become a doctor at the time when I was in my school time, and when I was in even in high school, because everyone there were we were 28 girls in pre-medical section, and 27 were just saying we want to become doctors. So I was also among them who said, okay, everyone is becoming a doctor, let's be a doctor. But later I thought like, no, yeah, I'm not meant for that field. And then I went towards social studies or humanities, and I pursued my bachelor's in English.
Awesome. Anybody else on the panel want to describe some surprise that they had during their educational journey? I think when they look at you guys and see where you are, it seems like the journey must be very straight line and you just go, go, go. But I think the reality is there's a lot of changes.
I think it's perfectly okay that those changes happen. I went into college undecided, so I entered into a business school, but on the side, I was also pre-med because I also thought I wanted to become a doctor because that's what everybody else was doing. And so I did my pre-medical prerequisites and all alongside of the business school, but decided that wasn't for me after I learned about myself and had some experiences and opportunities, and then pursued business. And now apparently I'm an educator and I didn't realize this was going to be what I was going to do. But again, you learn about yourself along the way, and it's okay that those changes do happen.
So a question for everyone to post in the chat box is, does anyone have any question about a particular interest, or how do you find? So here's the question. I am interested in this. How can I learn more about it? Does anyone have a interest that they don't know how to further explore in northern Pakistan? So from the students that are here today, is there any interest that you have that you would like some resources on how to explore those? And if you don't, that's okay. We can always move on to the applications and all of that. I'm a teacher, so I'm not afraid of silence. All right, awesome. So here we go. The main thing that we would like for you guys to take away from this section is for a long time, our last names in human society was defined by our occupation. Tire wala, peppermint wala, cook, and baker, and all these things. But what you will find is that now it's a great time for you to leave your comfort zone, right? Just like how, so leave your comfort zone, find things to do that you are not good at, and know that it doesn't matter initially whether you're good at something. You have to first be bad at something, try it, enjoy it, and then you become good at something. So don't get down if you are not good at something immediately. That's normal. The other thing is, we want you, as you explore and discover, so notice this lady here, if she's deciding what to study in the ocean, if she is deciding what to study in the ocean, she has to first learn how to swim, meaning learn. And so as she's learning how to learn and swimming, then she uncovers things that she wants to become an expert on. And when she does, then what you need to do is swim. And this is important. This is what colleges want to see in your application. They want to see that you are trying many, many things, that you are well-rounded, but they also want to see that, are you able to commit to something? And are you able to say, hey, my first year in a subject like debate, I just was interested, but then by the fourth year, I became the captain of the debate team. Those sort of things the colleges want. So remember, to swim and to win at a particular area as well by committing to it. So we'll just leave it today. We'll leave that to today. So now we're going to go into the actual specific advice with the application. So remember, your experience will be unique. So this advice, make sure that you are, keep that in mind and take it with a grain of salt. Okay, here we go. So let's gather my thoughts. At this point, what we would like to do is ask if anyone has any specific questions about anything in the application. We could go in order and just lecture, but if now you have a specific question on anything in the application, the panel is ready to give you pointed recommendations along with resources. So if you don't share now, we'll just have to share what we prepared, but we do want to give you a chance to get the recommendations you might be looking for. Nabil, Ali, Asma, Mohammed, Tahira, Shiraz, Shaliza, Parvez, anything that you guys would like to ask about the application process of attaining higher education in the US or Canada? Going once? Going twice? 3 times sold. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking this time, and let's have the application process. Seifa, would you mind sharing with the audience your section?
I think there's a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry, say that again.
There's a question in the chat from.
There's a question. Okay, awesome. Okay, so explain the personal statement. Thank you, Tahira. And another question is how to secure financial aid support for a community college for a master and PhD from university. Okay, awesome. So what we'll do is we'll take the second question and then we'll do the first question just because the order of college comes in that way. So you mentioned, so the question, if people didn't see, was how do we attain financial aid? And so for that, what I would like to point out to you guys is in the US, you have 3 types of schools. You have community colleges, which is box number 5. Those schools, you will not be able to get any visas or anything to come to the US or Canada. And those are generally reserved for students who don't want to pursue a degree. Instead, they want to pursue a specific trade skill like welding or plumbing or something like that. So when we look at financial aid, what we're looking at is 4-year degrees and bachelor's degrees. So when you look at financial aid, you can either get it for the colleges and universities. And if you see a liberal arts school, while those are going to be smaller class sizes where there's only 1 teacher and maybe 12 kids, so the educational experience is a lot better in liberal arts schools, they will be at least 2 times more expensive than colleges and universities. So then when you do apply for financial aid, if you choose a traditional university, it will make it quite a bit more easy. But liberal arts schools, because they're private schools, they have a lot more funding and their funding is often based on diversity. So when I went to a liberal arts school that was very expensive, there were many, many, many international students, and they received many, many scholarships. So when you look for scholarships, don't just look for broad scholarships for any that can be applied to any school. Go to specific colleges, especially liberal arts colleges, and call them and just say, hey, I'm from Pakistan. I love your school. Can you just tell me if there's any financial aid opportunities for international schools? Simply calling them will give you a lot of understanding that websites frankly don't aggregate in one area, especially for colleges that may have one scholarship to give or two scholarships to give. But if most people don't know about it, then that could be an advantage that you can make. How to find liberal arts schools and all that, that's a different section. I just want to address the financial aid question. Um, and so, Saleha, do you think this would be an appropriate time for you to go over the financial aid options? And then we'll then go into the essay and Tahira's question.
Okay, so do I need to just answer specifically to this question, or should I start with the presentation?
Yeah, I think you can start with your presentation. I think it'll kind of, yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
All right. Can you let me share my screen so that I
Yeah.
can...
Okay, you should be able to share your screen now.
Thank you. Okay, so is it visible for everyone? Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, we can see the presentation.
Okay, since we thought that this specific age limit that we have decided for this specific session was 16 to 21 years. And I know that in this age, either students in Pakistan are in the high school, or they are in the first semester, or I mean in the first year or the second year of their university. Just taking care of uh, few things. There are a lot of scholarships, but I have kind of filtered out few important scholarships that are very famous in Pakistan, and the entire process, and we can discuss somehow briefly the process and how students can go for it and all those things. But it is literally impossible for me to cover all the scholarships in this short presentation. So I'm sorry. Before, like, just before proceeding my presentation, I want to say sorry for not sharing all the scholarships, starting from the year scholarships that are for the students who are in grade 9, grade 10th currently. These scholarships are really famous, and especially in northern Pakistan, students who have been studying in Akhan higher secondary schools, they know a lot about these scholarships. So in this scholarship, you spend almost a year in the United States. It's fully funded program. You must score at least 60% in your last exams. You should have good communication skills, and applications for year scholarship are open these days. So if you know any person who are interested in these scholarships, you can ask them to go to this website, and then they can start filling out their application. There are 3 steps. The first is the application process. They have to submit the application either online, or they can submit it through the courier. So they have given all the details on their website. And then they need to appear in the test if their application is shortlisted. And then if they pass the test, then they go through the interview process. And it is must to like successfully complete all these 3 processes in order to get this scholarship. Second, we have United World Colleges program. This is for the students who are currently in their first year or in second year, and as well as the students who are in the 10th grade currently. They can also apply for these scholarships. This is one of the prestigious scholarships, very well known in Pakistan. It's because this is continuous. This is a 6 years continuous it is a continuous program where if you are selected from your 10th grade, you will spend like 2 years of your high school and then 4 years of your college or university in one of the 18 colleges they are around the world in different countries. It includes United States, it includes Boston, it includes Australia, it includes Japan, South Korea. There are many more countries, so this is kind of like a network of colleges, and these are fully funded scholarships, and their application form, the applications are open these days. And the best thing about this scholarship is they help you get a secure job if you are interested to do job in that specific country. So they help you to get some practical work experience soon after your 4 years bachelor's degree. The application process involves two things. First, submitting application either online or in the hard form, and if your application is shortlisted, then you will be called for an interview. For Pakistan, the interviews take place in Islamabad, the capital city, and within interview there are two things. First will be your individual interview, and then they have a group discussion interview as well, and it's must for you to qualify both of these interviews. So if you qualify the interviews, you get that scholarship. Third, we have US Summer Sisters Exchange Program. This is only for Pakistani female students and students who their age limit must be 16 to 18 years. It's a very short-term program, and where you spend it happens in summers, and so this is like 1 month program. This is fully funded, and the eligibility criteria includes 70% in your previous two exams. And again, these applications will begin in March next year, 2021. So if you want to stay updated about the application process and everything, you can visit their website. Okay, so I put up the tips soon after, like after every application, every scholarship that I discuss. The tip for the students who are in ninth grade, 10th grade, or first year, or in second year is keep working on your essay questions, because these questions are almost in every application of any scholarship, right? You need to answer your questions in essay form, so it will be very fruitful if you start working on it during these quarantine days. So make the most from your quarantine time. Then we have a lot of scholarships for students who want to who want to pursue their bachelors in any of the countries of the world. And for that, I have just mentioned 4 scholarships here. Again, it is not possible to cover all the scholarships in this small presentation. So scholarships for Korea are open these days, and for UK are open these days. I would recommend all the students to go for these scholarship because they are fully funded. They will offer they have a lot of programs. The programs include engineering, medicine, social sciences, humanities. So they have a variety of programs. So you can choose any of them. You need to apply for these scholarships, and of course, and I mean, they would ask. The first step is again submitting the application process, and if your application is submitted, they will ask for the they will call you for an interview, and if you pass the interview, they will ask for the English certificate, require English certificate that would be either TOEFL or IELTS. So that's that's a third thing. So first you need to apply for these scholarships, and for that you can visit their websites and you can check their criteria in detail, and you will find out the application link on their website. Uh, I have a suggestion to all the students who are looking for scholarships. Either be for bachelor's, for master's, for PhD, or for short-term programs that includes fellowships or exchange programs to any of the countries in, like China, Europe, UK, USA, and then Australia, etc. You should start following these pages. They are doing a great job by putting up the updates for almost all the scholarships that are for the Pakistani students. Even they hold these sessions where they help you thoroughly going how you should fill up the application process and how you can apply for it. So you can start following, or you should like these pages. They are Scholarships Corner, Humans of Exchange Program, Scholarship Ocean, HEC Scholarships for Pakistan. So uh, I have put their cover pages so that it will be easy for you to go there and just click on them. And then the tip is talk to your teachers beforehand to provide you with the recommendation letters, because they are required almost for every application and then work on your SOP, statement of purpose, because again that is an integral part of every application. And then CV or resume is also needed. And then make sure that you have certificates for the extracurricular activities, because what are like in most of the scholarships they ask, they want to choose students who are leaders actually, you see. And then therefore they need some kind of evidence where you can demonstrate your leadership skills. So therefore I would, if you are not working on that, I would suggest you to go for it and like get some certificates. That would be helpful. Okay, so I have added this thing because I thought it is really important, as there are many students who end up taking admissions in the Pakistani universities and they don't know there exist a lot of scholarships within Pakistani universities. So what you can do is, like for example, there is HEC merit or need based scholarship, universities on scholarship, because every university in Pakistan has its own merit or need based scholarship. So and then you have NAT scholarship, and then you have USAID scholarship. So these all scholarships are available in Pakistan. If you take admission in any of the universities, you should start working on finding out these scholarships and apply for them, because they actually cover your entire semester fee. I myself am the recipient of the Fatima Jinnah Women University's merit scholarship, and it covered my all the like my fee for the entire semester. And USAID scholarship also covers your accommodation fee as well, so like the fee of your dorms or your hostels. So it's really important. What you can do, there are 3 steps. First, once you get admission in any university, go to their website and talk to your HOD of your department to help you find out the scholarships that are available for the students inside the university. So after that, you have to fill out the application form. Mostly what happens is you are supposed to fill out the application form and you have to submit it in hard form to the department, or to there will be a specific department in your university. After that, you will be called for an interview where you have to justify, if you are applying for example, a merit need based scholarship, you have to justify why you are applying for that, right? So you will appear in that interview. After once you qualify the interview, you get that scholarship, and that's really, really helpful. Okay, so for students who have got admissions in the universities in Pakistan, there are still programs for you where you can visit United States, where you can visit China, where you can visit South Korea and many other countries on short programs that we are also called exchange programs. Okay, talking about Fulbright. In Fulbright, there are a lot of programs that they are for bachelors, they are for people who are not studying, but they are really active in their co-curricular activities like sports. And then there are master's program fully funded, and then there is PhD program fully funded. For journalists, they have programs. We will talk about the UGRADE program, we will talk about SUSI program in this section. Okay, so talking about undergraduate semester exchange program. This program is a life-changing program, to be honest. It's because you spend a whole semester in one of the universities in the United States. It is fully funded, so you don't need to worry about your financial aid and all those things. But and their criteria is you should be in third to seventh semester of your university. And then there is no specific CGPA requirement or GPA requirement, right? And no English requirements. You have to just fill out their application form. The application form is going to start in coming November. So all the students who are currently in their third to seventh semester, please keep on visiting their website that I have mentioned. And once the application starts, start working on it. The application is very, very simple. You have to just submit a 250 words SOP, which is an integral part of your selection. And then once your application is selected, you will be called for an interview. And if you qualify that interview, you will spend a semester in the United States. And since I received UGRADE scholarship when I was in my sixth semester in university. I spent a semester in the Shepherd University, West Virginia. It was life changing for me because through that program, I got another scholarship from Shepherd University to go for my master's if I want to. So I still have that that scholarship for me, and there are multiple other opportunities. They will come your way if you get this scholarship. Then we have SUSI program. This program is very short. It's for a month, and this takes place in UMass, and it is again fully funded. It comes under Fulbright scholarships. This is again for the students who are not in their first semester and in their last semester, but somewhere in between. So the students who are in their third to seventh semester in the university currently can apply for this. This takes place in summer, so you don't need to worry about what will happen to your classes, or you won't be able to attend your classes or anything else. And this is a summer program, and its applications will begin at the end of December. And again, for that, you need to keep on looking for their website, on their website to stay updated. And once your application is shortlisted, you will be called for an interview on Skype. And after that, if you qualify the interview, then you will spend a month in UMass, and you will you will get experience of um, studying, not fully fully studying, but you will get a chance to travel to United States and then look into their education system and everything. Okay, so there are a lot of undergraduate scholarships for Pakistani students in China. Last time it was 2,500 scholarships, and this time they have increased it to 2,800 scholarships. These scholarships are fully funded. It includes CSC scholarship. It includes different Chinese universities in China. They have their own scholarships. So it's not possible for me to cover all those scholarships here. So what I have done is I have given I have put this website where you will find all the details of the scholarships, when you can apply, what's the application process, how you need to fill out the application process. Even the tutorials are there. So you need to just check on the tutorials on YouTube. That will be really helpful to fill out your application process. And yes, since a lot of universities have started taking students, so you can start visiting their websites. It will be really helpful. Okay, so my last tip is don't start taking SAT, IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, etc. beforehand. Why? Because for IELTS will expire after 2 years. Your TOEFL expires after a certain date, right? And then same goes for your GRE and SAT. What you can do is first go to that university's website, look at their process, the application process and everything, because after they're going through their application process and everything, you will be asked to submit a certificate of IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, or GRE. So you can like save your money because they are very costly. I know, like IELTS take like 36,000 rupees. So it will be a good idea to check the requirements of the universities first, and then you can go for the tests. Yeah, done from my side. I hope if you have any questions.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I was conversing with students in the chat box while you were talking, and the students that I was speaking to were saying that this is very relevant and helpful. And yeah, so super awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the actual statement of purpose, which is an integral part of applying to most financial aid. How can you make sure that your statement of purpose does its job? So I'll tell you what is that job. So before we do, quick question. What is the goal of your statement of purpose? Put it in the chat box. What is your number one goal that you're trying to achieve? And then Seifel will take over. Conveys what you want. All right, so Seifel, go for it. They'll learn through your presentation what is your number one goal. I'm not sure.
Right. Thank you, Arif. I need a quick confirmation whether everyone can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be here to be able to share my knowledge and experience that I've gained so far. I'll cover the applications and what goes into planning out the process of applications. Let me start sharing my screen. Let me know once you guys can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay. So before we go into the applications process, I would like to convey the idea that how does your application process should look like overall. It is possible that you are masters or you know not fully masters but doing good in various fields as in various fields, not just one field, or you are super specialized in just one single field. Either ways, it doesn't matter. All your application process or your application material should convey that coherent idea, which is telling a consistent story about you through your resume, through your statement of purpose, your letter of recommendations, and so on. So before we go into it, let's first test you. These are key things that you need to go through during your application process, namely statement of purpose, um, recommendation letters, requests from your professors, your examination attempts, your interviews, and the other essays, say for example, diversity essays, etc., that you need to draft depending upon the university. So question to the attendees right now, which of these steps you think come first? And I'll wait. There you go. We have a poll as well. Okay, we are seeing live polls come in. Very good. Okay. So 18, 9, 14. Okay. Good that no one's selecting interview. All right, I might just stop there. So most of you say it's statement of purpose. While I beg to disagree with that, and this is a good time to actually get into this topic. So in my opinion, the first step you need to go through is your examination attempts. You need to identify what examinations you need to give based on the region you want to go and what program you want to pursue. And you need to kind of follow up which examinations are needed as a requirement. So you basically first start with your examinations. Um, so this is how the timeline looks like. So you give your examination attempt one. Once you have your scores in, you have a better idea of where your overall profile stands, and you start drafting your SOPs in parallel with drafting other Q&A and the letter of recommendations. In this process is not like a sequential process, but a process where you can overlap all the activities. One key advice here is when you ask for letter of recommendations, keep enough buffer, because there is a lot of back and forth between you and your professors, and it takes a lot of weeks to actually lock it down to a final draft, and to be able to convince your professors to upload your recommendations online to the universities. In all this time, if you feel your examination attempt one did not go as to your expectation, you can always in parallel reevaluate yourself, take a few mock examinations again, get confident, and give your examinations attempt two in order to get better scores. Shortly after that, what you do is you start sending out your applications, and once you get the admits, you kind of prepare for your interviews. A keynote on sending out your applications: always track the deadlines of the universities you are targeting. Keep a buffer of minimum of 2 weeks before you submit your applications. Never go right at the end of the last day of the deadline. In this note, what I will do is I was kind of go through you how I went researching the universities. So what I used to do is basically use this website, which is usnews.com. You can buy a monthly subscription, and as you can see, you can boil down to a lot of programs here. You can boil down to specialities, and you can, if you want to just browse a school, you can just type the name of the school. If you have a preference of going to a particular region, you can just type the name of the city or state, whatever. What this website does is basically it gives you the rankings, and which is basically specific to its program. So you have a better idea which university stands where. And while this website serves for the US, there is a similar website which serves for Canada as well. And if you are looking for other regions, say anywhere in UK or whatever, you just kind of Google it, top college list in UK, and you would surely be directed to one of these websites, which would kind of give you a good idea and good information about the universities. So once you are kind of there, what you do is you select the universities you feel you are having a better chance of getting into, and you start collecting data. And what you do is, or what I did is, say for example, I'm looking at Clemson universities, I go to their website, kind of copy pasting all the information which I feel is relevant and which I need to have on paper ready right now before I summarize, or I create an Excel sheet where I summarize all the information. So I just sort of start kind of copy pasting the relevant stuff here. Say for example, program of study which is in mechanical engineering, which programs we have. We have masters with theses, where it is located, etc. What researches I found which are interesting, which I would want to mention in my statement of purpose. The programs like Deep Orange that they have, the courses that they offer, which are of interest to me. Also, you can kind of also watch out to the professors, their background, their studies, what they are doing. So this is kind of a quick, grabbing of information from their website, which you would later on use to generate this master data sheet tracker. You kind of list down the universities you are targeting, all the informations like location. Your applications would require you to have usernames, so you track it here. What degrees they offer, what specializations they offer, what credit requirements are there, tuition expenses. You can boil down to a lot of kind of details as you want, and all the information is available on the website that I kind of just showed to you. This is the most important thing, and this is the reason why we want to keep a tracker ready, because not all universities have a consistent deadline. Few universities have deadline early on as compared to the other ones. So have this in your mind, target the university which has the deadline earliest, get all the documentations ready for that, and kind of just knock out one by one depending on which university has deadline first. You need to send your scores, so you track that as well, and so on. You have to track your applications fee and your codes for sending scores. So this is very helpful in planning process of before you even start sending out your applications. What other thing, or let's get back to the applications. Oops, where did the screen go? Okay. Can anyone show me how to get back to the
Razi?
screen? Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, so go to Chrome or take yeah, there
Sorry.
you go.
There you go. Sorry. Yeah. It's freaking out. Okay. So let's go to the essay writing. How do we basically kind of develop our documents such as resume, SOP, and LORs? And the key thing is to draft a good, well-rounded resume. And the best approach to that is having a modularized approach where you kind of segregate the information nice and clean. For this, again, I would like to quickly go over the resume that I had. So by the block approach, what I mean is you can kind of basically segregate information nice and clean and have a flow in it. So the top section basically has all the factual information about you, saying your name, your address, your email ID. Then comes your education, where it brings up the idea which is your last school, which is your scores, what are your scores, and the relevant courses that you have taken during your schools. The other section following that is your academic projects or your relevant work experience if you have any internships and so on. So you mention your major projects where you have gained extensive knowledge related to the field of study, and you go on listing down and have a 3 bullet point approach where you kind of bring out the idea as to what the project was, what your role was, and what were you able to achieve. If you cover those three bullet points, it justifies the project explanation very well. You can then add on to the other projects such as the technical workshops, something that you have done on your own during your vacations, etc. So that brings out an idea that you are not just a person who learns within the 4 walls of the class, but you can go beyond, and you can do stuff on your own. You list down your skills, and also if you have done any presentations or seminars, you can go ahead and list down that as well, which gives a touch that you are a confident speaker, and also you can converse and communicate with the people. If you have any activities such as you were a captain of a certain team in your college, or say for example you have awards like you were a recipient of some scholarship awards, go ahead and list down that as well. Now what this good rounded resume does is it kind of helps you build out your SOP as well, because if you see what goes into SOP is pretty much an elaborated version of your resume. The first paragraph, I would always kind of target some kind of a background story which inspired or sparked your motivation to pursue the career that you want to pursue. So you become a bit of a storyteller. You kind of ask yourself a question that why did I start all this? Go and describe a situation which is kind of giving an emotional angle to your ambitions and your pursuit of knowledge. Then you again, just like a resume, the next step is you talk about your current college, your current GPAs, etc. And again, you list down few of the subjects that you have taken, what you were able to learn in it, etc. And again, just like your resume, you just kind of expand on few key technical projects that you have done, just like you have done in your resume. So it's basically your resume sets the tone of your statement of purpose. But what is a bit unique to statement of purpose and unique to each university is your final paragraph, where you kind of make a connection between what you have done so far, what you want to do, and how that particular college is kind of helping you, will help you out to achieve that. And that's where your research, the document that I was showing, where you list down the labs, the research, the professors come into picture, because that is what you list down in this last paragraph. Say, for example, I kind of listed down that automotive engineering, computer-aided design is what I want to learn more about in depth. There is a program like Senior Capstone Design Program that I know I'm very interested in learning, and I think I want to do for it. There are research labs like product synthesis lab, mixed initiative lab, etc., which I want to kind of work with to realize my goals. So basically, your whatever research you do, you just kind of compile in a good language, and you just kind of put it in this last paragraph. It sets the intent of a statement of purpose. Now, this brings me back to the question that was asked, and that was, what is a personal statement? And you would find that the personal statement is basically different from your SOPs, is that your statement of purpose brings up the idea as to what you want to do, basic purpose, what's your purpose of applying to these universities, whereas your personal statement is telling more about who you are. Now, so for that, you need to become a little storyteller and ask yourself questions like, do you like ketchup with chilies? Now, why this question is particularly important is that ketchup is on the sweet side, whereas chilies is on a bit of a spicy side. Now, if you are a personality which fancy these extremes, it means that you have a personality trait which does not go with the most of the people who would choose either one of these. So you just have to kind of become a little abstract and think about some few questions like this, and also question about what's the background of your parents, what are your values, etc., and kind of converge it somehow to whatever you have done so far. And then you just kind of articulate it in a way which gives a picture of who you are and how you can excel at that university. Again, your letter of recommendations can be an extrapolated version of your resume, where you kind of go ahead and talk about a particular subjects which that professor has taken. You can bring out the ideas of some key technical projects under that professors, and etc. So basically, have a good resume, and the rest of your material is basically an elaborated version of it. You pick the material here and there, and you just kind of speak a little bit more towards that.
So your resume is you could say is like a painting ka canvas, where you have all your different paints on the canvas, and then
Correct.
the statement of purpose is your painting, and you draw from it, and then your recommendation letter is a different painting, but it's from the same canvas. And the idea is, does your resume, your recommendation letter, your essay, your experiences that you do, the interviews, does it all paint a beautiful picture where your goal is to stand out? There are thousands applying for the same position you are, and if you want to glow, stand out, then that's how you want to approach it.
Yeah, that's correct. So resume is your very condensed summary of who you are, and the SOPs, letter of recommendations, are basically extensions of those, where you give a little bit of personal and emotional touch to it, and you elaborately describe what, how, and when, and all the stuff. So rounding it all up, what are the general tips while writing all these essays is, first is answering the question. So a lot of times we kind of start digressing from the main question and addressing the issue which is not being asked. Say, for example, you are asked to write or bring out a situation where you were taken out of your comfort zone, and how or what changes you went through, or how you came out as a different person. Now you start writing your essay, and you start digressing from the topic, and just kind of start mentioning how the difficult task that particular thing was, but you never came back to address the fact how it changed you. as a person, what learnings you derived, and how you are a different person as compared to when you started, then it does not fully answer the question that was asked. So always read the question again and again, and organize your thoughts around that question, and then kind of, start drafting your essays. Don't focus just on highs. We don't want to just start boasting about ourselves, but also focus on lows, as that gives a lot of character to your profile, as it conveys the message that you have seen lows in your life, and you know how to bounce back, and you are a fighter. Grammar matters, of course. You can have a good content, but if it's not expressed correctly, it is not engaging. So always, for that, you can, just join a study group, or, join a peers group where you kind of share your material and get it reviewed by your peers. And that way you can kind of eliminate a lot of grammatical errors. You draft every essay focusing on a particular school. You should, a lot of aspects can remain common, but say for example, I said the last paragraph in the statement of purpose where you are mentioning particulars about the school has to change. Your tone, depending upon the program, the courses that are being offered, needs to be changed as and when required. uh, Again, ask for the peer reviews, because your first draft will never be your final draft, so you kind of keep reading it, get it reviewed and revise it, take their feedback and incorporate it in your next draft. Um, Again, as I mentioned, this thing is not a kind of uh, a quick thing. It is a year and a half long process, starting from your examinations to all the way to the interview. So it's a long journey. So never get bored of it. Pour your heart out, and who knows, you can kind of be in the best college, and you could be living the life that you dreamed. So pour your heart out. Don't treat it as a boring assignment. um, Last and foremost, reread, just reevaluate it. Your drafts can always be improved. It can always be made more concise, more precise, and more engaging. Planning is very key. This is a very long process, and you always have to keep a little bit of a buffer in every activities, because you never know, things can go wrong in it. And one key situations, or one key situation which I faced is say for example, some of the universities require your scores to be converted into their point system, and it needs to be evaluated by an organization. Um, so there is an organization called WES, which kind of converts the 10 pointers into 4 pointers, which US uses. uh, so that process of evaluation, by WES, takes a few weeks. And if you are not prepared, or you don't have a buffer of few weeks, you miss out on the deadline of that universities for sending the scores, for sending your transcripts. And that's where you miss out on applying the college, which God forbid should not happen if you are targeting for that just one university. So always plan your activities out, have a buffer time in each and every step, so that you do not end up in that situation. So that's how you kind of have a well-rounded approach to the whole application journey that you have. Um, so yeah, basically that's what I wanted to cover today. How to develop a good coherent application package for your abroad studies.
That was awesome. Very thorough and well planned. We have a suggestion here.
Let's see what.
Yeah, awesome. So in the future, we hope that we're going to actually bring, so there are people who are on admissions panels in the United States, and we will try to bring them directly to you guys, so you can ask people who are accepting people what their perspective is and all this. At this point, we're going to ask you guys a question about exams. So generally, this is a great time in the chat box for you to ask any question you have about exams. And at this point, Ashna, if we could ask the exam question, and then we'll launch with Rifa's presentation on how you guys can make sure to do well on your exams. So what's your biggest concern right now? Is it research? Is it taking mock tests? Is it simply studying? Or is it the logistics of the test? So the last one, the last answer would be the logistics of the test. How do we send it? How do we get it? Where do we take it? Those type of things. And you can put any open-ended question you have on exams right now. That way we can make sure that your question is answered. So go, if you need to ask in the chat box, this would be a great time. Awesome. So I see that people are most concerned with studying. Remember, we are offering a study session with Rifa and with us. If you reach out to us and say, hey, I want to work in a group to study and not have to do it alone and all of that, we can help you out. So just after the presentation today, feel free to reach out to me or Rifa or whoever about this. So Rifa, I think go for it.
Can you put me as a host so that I can share my screen?
I can. So Rifa is is one of our, we're really grateful to have her because she is she is, I think, the only person who's experienced in both Canada and the United States. So well-traveled lady.
Not well traveled, but yes, I've applied for both. I've experienced both worlds. Yeah, so let's start. Let's talk about the fun part, exams. So I'll start off with a question: what does A stand for in SATs? So if we can have a poll here. We just give in like half a second more, half a minute. Sorry. Okay. So A does stand for aptitude. Do you guys know what does that mean? Does anybody can anybody share that on the chat? Aptitude means this central part of your brain that is associated with your that is associated with how you think, how quickly you react, and all those things. It's kind of IQ, but aptitude can be built. IQ cannot be built. So why are exams important? As seen by the survey, that exams are the first things that the university or the colleges look for, and that should be one of your focus to me. That should be the first focus of your application. That you complete your exams or at least prepare for them and complete it whenever you think is the best time to. So GREs are most general type of exams, which most professions take it, like engineering, English, math, whatever you want to study in, and no university has specifically asked for a specific exam. You need to give GRE. But if you want to go to a business school or more specialized schools, they ask for specialized exams. The second The second most common test would be GMAT for business school. And then we have the TOEFL and IELTS as English proficiencies. So how do we start preparing for exams? First, we research. We research just as Saiful and Salaya suggested. Go to university's website, go and look what they want, how they want it. First, go to the university website, list down what exams you need. One thing that most students don't know is they can also apply for waivers. Like if you already have given like CPA exams or certain specified exams for your field, you can ask the university if you can have waivers. You can have waivers for GMAT, GRE, TOEFL, any kind of exams. But that depends if your university wants to give it to you. And that also depends on the resume you provide to the university. So yes, you do your research and then you take a mock test. There are so many platforms where you can take mock tests, like the MBA.com or the GREstudyguide.com. There are many places. There are some paid places. There are some paid websites which are better than the free websites. Yeah, but free websites are all we care about. But yeah, if you want to like really want to know where you stand, you can pay and look it up for yourself. And also for studying, there are thousands of YouTube channels, there are thousands of communities, thousands of forums that you can add. Personally, when I gave GMAT, I gave it in a very haste, like I gave it in 2 weeks. But I joined a platform on Reddit, just a it's called GMAT Club, but I'm sure there might be many more Reddit communities about other exams as well. So you can just join the community. The communities can provide you the best resources, the best websites that you should look for. And then yes, give the test. If not, then retry again. Don't like just sit down and cry about your results. I mean, I would, but yeah, don't cry about it. So what are good scores for particular exams? I would ask you all to take a screenshot or maybe just write it down, because these scores are very generalized, but they're very hard to find what is good, what is bad. It also depends on what your university is asking firstly, but the green zone, the elite zone are the good scores. Like those are the scores that you want to present to the university to get into top good universities. The yellow ones are fine scores, like they are not bad, they are not exceptionally good, but if your universities are asking a score within that range, good for you. Like just you don't need to reapply, just go for it. And the red zone, the red scores, I would really ask you to reapply for the exam, because these are like the worst scenarios. Yeah, also we are gonna share the resource pack, like how to which all websites you should visit to check scores or apply for the test. So what if you keep on constantly getting bad scores? I would say fling it. Just apply it anyways. Like you get it or you won't get it. The first step would be like to highlight your skills in your SOPs, in your resumes, or maybe draft a good SOP, a stronger SOP that people would normally not. Like take an extra effort on your SOPs and on making your resumes. Also, ask your professors for a good recommendation letter. Create that relationship with your professors that you can ask them for a good letters, or you can sit with them and ask them about how can you improve certain things. So your current professors also play a good part in application process. Not only it does depend on your scores, but after all, the scores don't matter. You need to have scores, you need to have back that up with your SOP, back that up with resumes, also your recommendation. So it's an overall thing. They just don't focus just on scores. Yeah, I think that's about it. I had a very short runnings.
Yeah, that was really helpful. I think one part of this exam story and all that is um, the human side of it, as opposed to just the functional. Mohsen, you know, would you be able to speak on anything we've talked about today, your educational journey that you've had, and any parts of the emotional experience of, you know, the how you persevered and those sort of things that you can share?
Mhm. So I would like to talk about SATs. I was very, very young. I was, I think, 16 when I started with my SAT prep. And yeah, like online, many people said it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, and you can just do it. So I was overconfident. I didn't do my research. I didn't do any practice. I just gave like 2 mock tests, and I just went in. And then I came back, waited for a month for the result, and I got such a bad score. When I gave SATs, it was 2400s, and I think I got 1400 or something, which was not 1400. Sorry, I got 1300, and yeah, so I was like, okay, it's not easy. I should
Yeah.
have prepared. I should have sat down, and more about research was I didn't, really watched. I didn't really ask people who already gave their exams. Like I didn't ask them how it was or what really is it, or do my YouTube videos, YouTube research. Yeah, but then after I got my bad score, I sat down. I bought the books. Um, I joined in a online SAT course for 3 or 5 weeks. I was done with that, and I got a 1600 score, which was nice. I mean, which was good for me to apply for a decent amount of colleges.
Awesome. Yeah, I had similar experiences. Mohsen, how can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your journey and
Yeah,
some overview of advice?
so for me, like the entire application process was itself like very emotional and very tough for me. So it was a fun ride. So like it took me 3 years to like complete the entire process. Like we talked about like 6 months, 2.5 years. It took me 3 years to just get into the school which I wanted to go. So like right after undergrad, I actually planned for my masters. So I gave GRE. I got about 307, and I applied for 10 schools. I got like into a couple of schools. Like those were like my safe schools. But like after finishing after getting the results back, I was not satisfied with the universities. So I planned to drop the idea of going for masters, and I think I got lucky to find a job as well at that time. So, but I always had that motivation to like go out or like pursue something like or have master's degree for myself. So I applied for GRE again. So again I got 310, and again I applied for like 6 schools, but I got into like one school, but again I was not happy with that. So second attempt was also a failure for me. Then at the last, like I just almost gave up for like pursuing my dream of masters. But then I just got a little bit pushed from my mentor. He has been like my lifelong mentor, and my cousin as well. So he told me like just give last attempt for GRE, and I gave the last attempt for GRE, being hopeful. I think I got 317, which is not that great score, but I think it helped me like to at least have a good fair chance in a good school. So after getting that score, I tried to apply for again like 4 to 5 schools, and finally I got to got into one of the schools which I always like wanted to go for. And so that was like very tough for me. So I think that's what I would say. Like it's okay to fail. Like I gave GRE like 3 times. I gave TOEFL twice because it expires in 2 years, and I applied for 3 times in total. So I think it's fine to like fail. It's fine to like push yourself harder, unless and until you find that okay, you have reached that point and you're satisfied with the results which you get. You should just keep grinding and keep moving forward. That's what I would advise.
That's awesome. So we got both sides from you guys, and even Rifa mentioned, you know, some of the perseverance challenge, overcoming these challenges. We know the tests are sometimes the most difficult part. So you know, stay strong and stay in touch with us, and we'll try to help you guys out. And until then, keep trying. Saleha?
Okay, so we have a question from Tahira. She's asking about the research that a lot of applications ask for. So she's asking, does it mean the thesis research or what? So Tahira, if you are talking about Erasmus Mendes scholarship, which currently is open for Pakistani students, and it will keep taking applications till January 2021. And if you want to apply for any master's scholarship through Erasmus Mendes, which I think that you are talking about that, or any other scholarship like Chiving scholarship for UK is also there. That's also for the, like masters if you want to pursue your masters in UK, or there are also a couple of other scholarships for master's students that includes CSC scholarship for China. In those scholarships, what they mean by the research is you're actually any research proposal or the research article. Okay, in your BS, in your 4 years of bachelor's degree, or 2 years BA, or 2 years MA, that is also equivalent to BS, bachelor's of, or BS honors in Pakistani education system. You might have done thesis, right? Your final thesis in any of the subjects. So in your master's application form, what they need is a simple research proposal. Either it should be from the same thesis that you have done in your bachelor's, or if you have not done your thesis, you have taken the courses in your bachelor's, that is another option. So if you have taken courses, then again they need just a proposal, a research proposal, because they want to see if you have the research skills. Because in masters, wherever you go, you have to go through the very rigorous research process, right? In order to complete your master's degree, you need to go through the research or the thesis. You have to undertake your thesis. So for that, they want to see if you have this idea of research. They want to see if you have the basic knowledge of the research. Therefore, they ask for the research proposals. So the research proposals can be from the same thesis that you have done in your bachelor's. You have to just modify, you have to just put up few things, and you have to delete few things according to what specific course you are applying for in that scholarship. And then or if you have not done any research in your bachelor's, what you can do, you can simply take up a topic that is relevant to the subject that you are applying for, and then you can write down a research proposal, so that your university that you are applying for, or the scholarship you are applying for, they would get an idea. Okay, so this is like okay, she has this idea of research and everything. I hope I answered your question.
Awesome. Yeah, this is great. Okay, so where are we, and where else do we need to go? The one of the things that we wanted to share with you guys before leaving is, can we put up the poll about why do we give so much money to schools? Why do we ask colleges? We apply to pay them money, right? And so then we pay them all this money. What are we hiring them for? So go ahead and try to answer that.
In the meantime, Arif, there was a question from, I believe, Shiraz, and I don't know this from the international perspective, but I know for students here in the US, although some universities, due to the coronavirus, are waiving the SAT and ACT, meaning it's test optional does not necessarily mean test blind. So adding a score to your application can only help you, because test scores are not just used for admissions purposes, but also used for placement in specific courses, as well as for scholarship purposes. So if you have the opportunity to take an exam, go ahead and add that to your application, because it can only help you, not hurt you.
Awesome. Really great answer.
Yeah, just to add on to that, say for example, in 2021, it's indefinitely waived off, but you never know, later part of 2021, they might start, or they might require SAT to be the requirement in your application process. So in case, God forbid, you do not make it in the first half of 2021, and you have to kind of reapply in the second half, you might, miss out on getting the dates for that exam. And so always, kind of just to be safe, give the exams. That's fine.
Okay, so thank you for your answers on the polls. Here is what you might be overlooking when you're looking at what the purpose of college is. Number one, if you average 5 of your friends, that is, according to sociologists, the best predictor for your success. So think about that. Who you are around is often a predictor of success. As such, a university will put you around other people who are interested in the same things or ambitious in certain areas, and you will choose your friends and your study groups and all of that, and they will influence you. If they are working until 5 in the morning for something, or if they are excited about rockets as opposed to, oh no, an exam, those attitudes will permeate, will be absorbed by you as well. So remember, who you make friends with is a important part of the college experience. Second, you will often work in group projects and group study sessions and live with people who are other students. In those times, you are learning something that no robot will ever be able to replace your skills with. You can a robot can replace oftentimes your career knowledge. I think when I was 15 years ago, when I was in your shoes as a student, the founder of Sidhpur Foundation, Karim Uncle, said, by the time you graduate, what you will have learned will be outdated, especially when it comes to technology, engineering, and all of that. Now, the idea is learning how to deal with people. You should look at it as a science, an opportunity to improve your ability to work with others. And if you struggle with those things, then pick up a book, pick up something, and try to become better at it. Because human relationships will always be in demand. And if you're a good engineer and bad with humans, it won't matter. But if you're a bad engineer and good with humans, you'll still make it actually. So something to think about. Now, the last thing I will say is the universities have tremendous amount of resources and money that they invest in counselors and gyms and other sorts of ways to make sure your experience and your guidance is successful. But most universities notice that only 15% of students use those resources. So don't make that mistake because you're giving them money and then saying, I don't want to use the resource for it. Okay. If you can see here at your screen here, you can see this infographic that says that when you choose your school, the macro system will also be an experience for you, and that can also be your research, and that can also be your experiences. So if in the university you apply, there is a, you know how Sayfil showed you that at Clemson University, there were certain professors in certain research fields. If you find something you're interested in, something you're passionate about, let's say you are passionate about hunger and you are passionate about solving modern agriculture problems. If you look in the United States and you look at who are the thinkers in this field, who are the people who are solving world hunger, then you might find Karim Uncle, who is on the call today at Michigan University and Michigan State University. And he, if you contact him and say, hey, you know, you're working on an area that I'm really passionate about, can you tell me more or whatnot? Then when you apply to Michigan State University and you say, hey, I, got in touch with this professor. I want to work with this professor. I want him to be my mentor. That shows to the university that you're not just there to get a degree so you can get a job so you can make money. It's that you are really passionate and thoughtful about your future, and in your statement of purpose and interviews and all these things, those things will matter. People do want to work with students who are human, not just students that are good on paper. And it's okay to humanize yourself. That's important. So I got a 1100 on my SAT, which is terrible at that time. But because of my excellence in extracurriculars, and then so in debate, I did well in competitions, and through that, I was able to make some connections that got me certain scholarships at a very expensive private school. So you don't know what part of your journey will be your biggest strength. But the idea is to knock on as many doors, to try as many things. And if you keep on trying, you will find, golden opportunities. But if you keep your doors, if you don't knock enough doors, then there's less chances. I'm pretty sure many philosophers have said what I said in a lot more elegant ways. So how do you find out some of these things to be interested in? We have given you certain topics on the left, and these are, notice what I wrote here is fun economics, fun space. We're not trying to bore you guys, but if you use these resources and you go through them one by one, in just a short amount of time, you will be a super nerd. And I mean that in the best way possible, to know about the world. So arts, science, everything. So we'll share this resource. So go ahead and avail this to as much as you need. All right. I am done speaking. We'll ask you guys whether you have final questions. Panelists, if there's anything that you would like to share at this point, you can.
Yeah, I can maybe talk more about TA and RAs. So like specifically for like masters or PhD schools, like they have programs like assistantships, like TAs and RAs. So TAs like teaching assistantship, where like professors in US like just need help for like maybe grading exams, or maybe they have openings, and it's like a job which university provides to students. So that's why you can reach out to professor for the PA. And RA also, it's similar thing. So RA is like you just give second hand to professor in the research which he's already doing. So what you can do is maybe you can just look up the website for the professors, and then check like each and every professors and see which professor's interest you find most suitable to your interest or your personal background. So you can just reach out to email the professors and ask them that I have this experience and I think I can do something about it. I can help you with your research. I'm passionate about this research as well. So you can email them. You can talk to them personally, and I think if they find it suitable, they will definitely help you to get TAs and RAs for the schools which you are applying for. And also for undergrad, I think it will be difficult to get in first year, because they expect you to have a bit more of like a background. So maybe like it's possible in like junior year or senior year for undergrads. But I think for masters and PhDs, you can start like asking professors before joining the school, like 3 months, 6 months before joining the school. So I think, yeah, that's what it is.
So Tahira, would you mind sharing with us your experience?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I would love to share my experience. I I'm from Pakistan, from North Pakistan, from Hunza. I was an exchange student. From the very beginning, I wanted to be a doctor when I was young, like when I was in school. And then uh, I did my FSC, and then I wanted, in my bachelor's, I choose art. And then I went to US as an exchange student. And then when I came back, um, let me tell you, when I was in US, I chose ECD as my field. And then I came back, I applied for Canada. I went there and I went to Canada. I applied for Mount Royal University. I get admission there, and due to family problem, I have to come back. And then I got admission in Padma Jinnah University, but I really had a very bad experience because I end up remaining unemployed. That's it, sir.
Okay. Tahira, I want to ask, are you willing to apply for the Erasmus Mundus this year? At this time, because Erasmus Mundus scholarships are open.
I wanted to apply for GEMA.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
it's Erasmus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So see, if you want to apply for any of the Erasmus Mundus scholarships, there is a group on Facebook. It's really active, and you will get a lot of help from there, because there we have alumni who are already on Erasmus Mundus scholarship, so they are going to help you. And as well as, I would suggest you to go for Jevin scholarship as well. And if you are looking for a job, then I think these days a lot of INGOs and NGOs in Pakistan, they need a lot of people. So let me know if you want me to share few links and few vacancy announcements with you. I would be happy to share those with you, and we can actually meet if you are somewhere here.
Yeah, I would love to if you share.
Okay.
Where are you right now?
Islamabad, F10 4.
Oh, I'm in Karachi. Sorry.
Okay, we can connect through email, or or maybe
Yeah,
I can we can connect through Facebook. A lot of platforms out there.
Yeah, sure. We'll definitely.
All right, wonderful. So it's 12:50. We've been here for an hour and how long? Gosh, 20 minutes. So at this point, we'll ask once more if there's any other questions. Those of you who are here and you've been patient in hearing us and talking to us, thank you so much. The last thing you need to do before you leave is do the evaluation form. That is the only real ask that we have in return for what we have, the time that we've spent with you today. It's very important that we hear from you so we can understand where do we go next. You'll notice that most of us are not from northern Pakistan, but this is our first step in connecting with you guys. And so in order to be successful in our long journey, hopefully with you guys, we'll need a conversation between us and you. So this is one great way for that conversation to lead to better programs and more programs and those type of things. So the evaluation form is on your screen. You can QR code it, or you can put in that link that you see. And we'll wait while you complete the evaluation, and we'll also wait in case anybody wants to linger and talk to us. We're here for the next 8 minutes at least, okay?
Okay, Ari. So I think I should mention this since I'm getting a lot of text messages on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and on my Messenger as well. There are a lot of students from northern Pakistan who are currently in the northern Pakistan. They are saying that they don't have, like, their internet is not working properly. They somewhere they have these electricity issues. So many of my acquaintances, they are saying that they are busy with something else at their homes. So out of those 100 and plus students, very few students joined us, but I am very sure that they will definitely go back to this session. We will be putting it after we are done with the recording. We will put it on the Facebook, or we will share on the Facebook, hopefully, and people will go to this session and they will see the recordings. I mean, that's what they are telling me. So they are sorry, and it's a small message they asked me to convey, that they are very sorry they are unable to join because of electricity issues, because of Wi-Fi, because of internet not working properly, and because of their other engagements on Sundays.
Okay, I believe we are done, right? Pretty much with the session. Uh, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. First of all, thank you all the participant, moderators, facilitators, technical support. This was a very promising session, and I'm sure our students are going to make most out of it. I'm quite passionate. This was a unique experience for the students of Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral to learn more about higher education in the US and Canada. As Saliha said, we will be posting this recording somewhere on YouTube or Facebook, so people who are not able to make it to the session can go over it and try to make or just take advantage of the resources you guys have shared. As Arif said had initially said, this is not the only session. You can go to SPN's website and register yourself if you need further assistance in terms of mentorship, if you need assistance like with essays and other related information. So I believe Arif sir has just posted the website. It's spnhelp.org. So yes, you're more than welcome to go ahead and register yourself if you need further help in regards to pursuing your higher education. On that note, again, thank you very much all. Kudos, wonderful show. I am so happy and satisfied with the webinar session we had today.
Okay. So there is actually one more resource that we can share with you guys that's kind of cool. If you guys can see my screen, there's those free courses from the Boston instructors and the study sessions on financial aid. With Saleha, there's a study session for exams with Rifa, where we can all get together and learn together. We're also doing a course on Harvard's religious literacy course. We're also doing a course on interior design. And then there's some courses for singing. And so this is the instructor. She's from Boston. And so she's actually a vocal pedagogist. And so she's and she's also a comedian. Notice at the bottom, it says she's a comedian. So it's a great place to learn with others, meet new people, laugh, and enjoy your time with them a little bit. Um, and then here's a songwriting course if you want to learn how to write a song. Here's the musician also from Boston who you can connect with. He creates short films and some theater productions. So if this is someone that you want to meet and talk with, and maybe he would agree to be a mentor, but you would have to sign up for these classes. Here is a sketch comedian, so you can learn how to write comedy. So these workshops, if you want to look at choreography or anything, these are the wonderful, wonderful world-class instructors. You can not have to be alone while you learn interesting things. So if you want to register, the QR code is here. And I'll post the link for this registration into the chat box as well. And this is for anyone who is interested. So you can share this link. You can share these courses. You can tell your friends that, hey, let's take this singing class together. It's okay to, we encourage you to expand your mind and have fun. And singing is just as important as math, as hard as that might be to believe. Okay, guys, take care, have fun, and to all the counselors and everyone, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us. We hope you guys have a great, great, great rest of your day. Bye.